Well, let's get into the nitty-gritty here. First of all, welcome to our viewers. This would be episode 7, actually, of,
We're definitely existing in a non-linear timeline.
Totally non-linear.
But it's really clear.
But it's fun. The game, it's like thematic.
Also non-linear timeline.
Yeah.
So trying to make it linear.
There's a couple of things that I want to go over. First off, for our viewers, I know you all can't see the exact setup of the table, but we've condensed the information down so that it's a little less confusing for us at the table. So we have the separate piles out here, the periods with the event piles, and so like Ashley or Shanna or whomever, if you guys want to grab that pile of events and take a look at it, feel free to do that. And I also have the list here if you want to go through it. It's just
I'm glad I'm sitting next to you.
Yeah, I'm very useful. So that's the first thing. The second thing, sadly, Bowen couldn't be here tonight, so there's that. We lament your loss, Bowen. He's still with us. But
Damn!
God damn it! I know.
These mushroom gnomes are blazing strong across the timeline, though.
So, thirdly, just want to give a quick shout out to Dan Issue. He's a new backer on Patreon, and so thank you, Daniel. And I don't know. Does anyone else want to say anything before we begin?
As we can all tell, very displeased at the sudden onslaught of winter is what it feels like. All of us around the table are just like,
yeah.
Drinking this
It got cold really fast.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like kind of I got a layer.
Day.
Do you know that that's an illusion? That drinking just makes your blood rush to the
totally
the
fine
surface
with
of
this.
your blood vessels?
Yeah.
But does it still make me feel warm?
Beer
It makes me
jacket.
feel warm. So then,
But you get hyperthermia faster.
fuck it.
And then you do that crazy thing where you fucking get too hot and you take all your clothes off and you die.
Yeah.
that's coming next.
Act 2.
I mean, that is
Episode
literally Act 2 of hypothermia. You're like, oh my god, I'm too hot. You get naked in the snow and you
But
die.
people sound like they have a great time.
All right, I'm starting
before
this.
they die.
Let's do this.
Well, yeah. Euphoria.
Well, you already have no pants on, so.
I wonder why that happens.
Awkward.
Like why that happens. Like why.
Which part?
I was I was listening to a medical podcast about it. God, why does that happen?
The medical podcast?
Medical podcast. I know.
How do I find
do
myself?
things?
It was not Sawbones.
I enjoy that.
Shout out to Sawbones and Max Fun Network, though, because y'all are real fun.
Yeah. Also Adventure
Sydney's
Zone.
the best.
Yeah, right? Sydney is the best. Sorry, Justin.
In the Adventure Zone, Justin's the best, though, to be fair. So
Yeah.
that's fair.
Justin has the best radio voice.
Yeah, he does.
But it fucks with your hypothalamus and your temperature control gets all whacked out. And so even though you're freezing, you know how like you put ice on your skin and it feels like it's burning?
Yes.
It's that, except your brain is doing it to you.
Oh, great.
But essentially, I wonder if there's like a purpose behind it, or if it's just like everything goes haywire.
I think it's everything going haywire.
Manufacturer's error.
Yeah. Error 404.
Yeah. Just might as well just end this. Let's crash this plate into the ground. Take off your
Yeah,
clothes.
well, that might be
Okay.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, the other euphoric way to die apparently can be like falling or like crashing in a plane, because your brain does the same thing. Like when you're actually crashing, you're like, huh. Like it's like so surreal that you snap into a like blissful state
Oh,
as you're falling.
So when I got hit by a car, it was kind of like that. I was like bouncing down the road and just watching the road go by, and I'm like, huh, that's cool. And then I sat up and I was like, can somebody call my dad?
Yeah. Like you don't have any time to process, so you just go to this safe space.
Right,
like
yeah.
kind of like when you like break a limb, you don't feel it for a while. You're just like,
Yeah.
ooh.
I got.
disassociate.
I went over
Yeah.
the hood of a car one time on my bike, and I just popped up like nothing was wrong. I'm like, yeah, I'm totally great. It's fine. And he's like, okay, but here's my card. You know, like, call me if anything. And 20 minutes later, my body just went and just broke. I was so fucked at that point.
Yeah, biology.
Oh,
God, I really want to go off on the thing about people falling out of planes, but I'm gonna curb that.
I want to make this
What?
commitment
I
though that
know
I'm gonna
what
have a
to
character
say.
that dies by getting naked and hypothermia. This is gonna be a like foreshadowing, like months down the
What's
line.
like? Oh God, yeah, I could go off on that too.
We can go back and
what,
show this.
Like what? Maybe it is like
I
okay,
promise this.
kamikaze. Like kill this entity because it's not gonna come back from this. Like, has anybody ever come back from that? Don't you like?
From what?
That blissful
point,
hypothermia.
Or, oh, it's not really. I don't know. It's blissful. You just get really hot and you go out. You get like ridiculously hot and you go out into the cold.
I think you can. I don't know.
Yeah, but you get blissful. I don't know, just from the
felt that and
accounts.
survived it.
I went through a
Those
period
are the
of time
DMT
where I
rush
read
in the
all the like
Maybe.
Everest accounts that I could possibly find, and like there's like lots of people who've died and lots of people who've almost died.
Yeah.
And they talk about hypothermia as being like you're on a giddy drug. Like you like feel like there are like rainbows and gold around you and like you're just like skipping through a
there's only one thing we can do. Internet, please look this up for
Yeah,
us.
just look
Leave it
it
in the
up.
comments below. Thank you very much. All right, yeah, help.
I will kill a character via
Oh,
this.
yeah.
Maybe not my own, but somebody
And
will.
last but not least,
Naked
I
emulations.
want to congratulate Liz Coyne for winning this in my random drawing. We've
Ooh.
reached
Yeah,
over 300
Liz.
followers on Instagram, so Liz gets this.
doing things.
Doing things, so she'll get that.
Coin's a
You should get
solid
those for
last name
showing up.
for getting that. I like
You know
it.
what?
Good
Like,
job,
my
Coin.
Like chips for AA. That's what I want.
This has been my 7th episode.
I haven't
Real-
missed a single one.
Real weird.
So, where we're beginning, essentially, since Connor wasn't here for the last session.
Sorry.
What's that?
Sorry.
No apologies
Technically,
necessary.
the last 2 sessions if we're counting by doubles every time.
No apologies necessary, but
Oh, yeah.
Last two?
you
Two
get
episodes.
you get the dinosaur,
Yeah.
which means that you are the lens.
Yay!
As you should be. I still think we need a magnifying glass. I'll take it.
Oh, I know where mine is. I could bring it in.
It's too late.
I have one of my
Late.
dressers.
Next
Dead.
time.
Bringing it.
So
Okay,
so essentially
Oh,
what
man.
you have to do at this point is create a focus.
Yep.
And then create either a scene in an existing period or another period and a scene nestled in that period.
Yep.
Period event or event scene. Those are
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Period
Yeah.
event or event scene.
Or
Yep.
one.
Doesn't count if it doesn't.
And but before you begin, does anyone want to talk about anything that they're particularly excited in the timeline? I'm particularly excited about the way the mycelium sort of relates to the gnomes right now, and because that got created way in the very beginning of the timeline, or at least near the beginning of the timeline. So what I'm wondering is how that's affected the gnomes later on in the timeline. I'm also really excited about anything that has to do with the mycolog. I'm also really excited about flying dwarves because I think
Dwarves.
we've all been excited about flying dwarves since,
Yeah.
since the beginning.
Since day one, actually.
Yeah. And that's all I got for right now. And Chicken of the Woods, but that's just partial to me.
I like
'cause
that too.
I like who is Chicken of the Woods.
Yeah.
What does he want?
He wants to control the communication through my ceiling.
Well, okay,
Mr.
Mr. Logic.
Was all of the community.
Oh yeah.
I'm excited about narrowing in on the human experience a little bit, like, because I feel like not all of them are going in the negative direction, and that's kind of shown later on in our story where they're the liberators theoretically.
Yeah.
It's kind of what we're saying, and at the end they're the ones called on by the mycelium to help them when the demons return. That's
Yeah.
what we've like written in. So I'm like really interested to see how their like story arc like kind of goes like as we flesh everything out, and like what causes them essentially to like either go away from their corruption or like where it splits, like essentially what like different directions does the human race take, because we have a couple different showing right now.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm mostly interested in kind of like that magical Cold War and like post Cold War and sort of the characters that come out of that, and sort of like what people do with like the bleak dark times, and it's probably not bleak dark times for everybody. Like there's always balance. You know, someone's always winning.
Yeah.
So kind of like, what does that look like? Like, what are those hidden arcs in the story arc that we've kind of like created? And then just the idea of like the gatherers and like, who, I don't know, we'll figure it out.
Oh my god,
It's gonna come. We're gonna figure it out.
Sleepers.
It's all been written in.
This is like 4 episodes, bringing it back around.
Shanna just kept going on and on at a
About
certain
sleepers.
point about, but what about the sleepers? She kept saying that. And it's not written down on anything. But
This was just you, like,
This was
I
just-
have no
yep.
recollection.
It's the hidden history in our world.
I didn't watch this enough times.
I have a couple
obviously.
ideas.
I don't know if even that episode has aired yet with her talking
Nope,
about
it hasn't.
sleepers. It would be episode 3, I think.
Okay.
3 or 4.
And then I'm also really interested in the mycelium as. Do we agree on mycelium?
Yeah.
Yep, mycelium with an N. N is in Nancy.
The mycelium as like a, like, what is their motive? Where did they come from?
Yeah.
What, like, are we a blip in there? Is this all a blip in their history, or like, is this like an arc in there? You know, like just
Yeah.
kind of.
And you know what's weird about that one is I'm totally comfortable with that not ever being answered. I know that, or at least, at the very least, it perhaps gets answered in game. You know, but I'm unattached to that ever being answered.
In fact, I would almost venture to say it could be better just not knowing.
Yeah.
You guys are absolutely echoing the exact same thing I was thinking. Because I like the feel that there is a plan or something happening or some shit going down that mycelium is manipulating.
Right.
Not necessarily good or bad, just they've got their own agenda, right? Or it's got its own agenda. But yeah, I had that same thought of like, I kind of want to explore that in D&D. Like, I like that we're seeing sort of like the shadows cast by its efforts, right? Like the connections it's making with the different races, the effects that are occurring. Like we're talking around stuff that we haven't defined yet. But I think in a way, like it's forging itself, and then we get to go explore that through the D&D.
Right.
I'm looking forward to. But also in the same vein, actually, I've been thinking about that magical Cold War. Not explicitly because of the Cold War element, although I like that, but I see that as the clash between like that high magic, like magic as technology, and also like, you know, steampunky sciencey pieces in there. I don't know, like that industrialist versus naturalist, that narrative that's coming out of it. I want to explore, like, see more about how the mushrooms have influenced like technology as technology, but also the magic through it all, right?
Yeah.
And I've been thinking a lot of like mushroom architecture. I don't know.
Oh my god, I've been thinking a lot about that too. I've been researching as the mushroom sort of filament slash chitin that it sort of is made up of, and so yeah, I'm totally right on that.
I don't think I sent you the picture either though, but I outside the college found this mushroom that came up, and I forget which one it is, but the Amanita. And it was coming up between 2 metal poles.
You should pass around the picture.
Yeah, well, it won't be so good for camera. We'll do it after the fact, but and we can post it in
I've been
the
taking a lot of
something
photos
somewhere.
of mushrooms lately
But
too.
it's about a yay big mushroom, like pretty big, like between 2 metal pipes, and so it just came up between and then was like integrated into the pipes practically as it was like coming up.
It's a really good
It looked
photo.
really cool. I was like, well, shit, that's definitely a wing on the Mycolog. Like imagine
Awesome.
mushrooms coming up between buildings and other interesting stuff.
So
and,
you
like,
said
integrating into
you got
it.
a picture of it?
Yeah, I'll send it around. We can post it.
Just
online.
Just
send it to me and I'll
poisonous.
post it in the comments.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
We'll do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've just been thinking about the structural elements of our world on top of that
Wow.
because of that. It's like, this would be really cool.
I was picturing like a whole city because I found this like really huge cluster the other day, and I like started drawing it out a little bit, but like a giant city for gnomes essentially, but they're living inside of mushrooms, and it just looks like a cluster from like far away. But the closer you get, the larger it gets, and it's like
We should do
an intricate like city.
some like arts show and tell, like photo. You know, all this is good.
I don't know, my drawings aren't very good. I just like to doodle.
Me too.
I want to see them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited about mycelium and the different factions and the ways that we push back and affect them and how that unfolds. And yeah, we're not answering the question like, but now I'm wanting to answer the question. I'm like,
Answer parts of
I
it.
think like just the idea that they're just playing with us and they're an experiment. That's what keeps running through my head. It's just an experiment.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see where the gnomes go. That was that was not what I was expecting to come out of not being here last time.
Right.
And I'm like, oh wait, okay.
Thank you.
Oh, that would be
Absolutely.
fun to like see, having not participated in it. That would be fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just reading it on my phone. I was like, oh no, mushroom gnomes, toad.
Well, imagine what Bowen went through adapting. Like when he sat down last session, he's just like, oh my god.
I had to pick something.
It's already grown a lot since you were here last time. Look at this.
Yeah.
Like the myco nids in my story are called myco gnomes. So as long as we can like share that copyright,
Dude,
like,
whatever you want. I'm so flexible. It's ridiculous. This means
You can have micro gnomes and micro.
the content of this in terms of open or closed source for this means absolutely nothing to me. Like you can take all of it and use it as however. Yeah. Well, there you go.
I love how
Right. Sorry, Dad.
I wrote
like-
it down first.
just with this and not stressing it, like we already have this like really nuanced like diplomacy between all these different races, like that we didn't plan on. It just sort of like came out in game. Like there's already a lot of different peoples represented who have already a rich history and like different alliances, and it's
Did we start bringing up the orcs last time?
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
I brought
Yes,
them
we
in
did.
a little bit.
We brought in the orcs a little bit. We brought in gnomes. We brought in
elves, dwarves, humans.
elves, dwarves, humans.
this one.
Who have we not touched on? We haven't touched on halflings yet. We haven't touched on dragonborn because that's a no. That's right. I said it.
As player characters.
Shut up. And we haven't touched
Support
on
your DM.
That's a
You
yes.
just said player
That's
characters.
the-
I'm supporting him to the letter of the law. Lawful.
What other race? Tieflings. Any sort of like planar touched anything? Like if we choose to use that, there's the genocide, the sort of like elemental races that could potentially be used. There's tieflings, which are the lower planar touched creatures. There's the Asimar, which are the upper planar touched creatures. There's who am I missing?
Can I say something on
Yeah,
that note?
totally.
I mean, even if we don't touch on them in like our events and stuff,
Right.
we can just assume that these are not necessarily races that hold as much like power or have like great nations. They
Right.
could be like more nomadic or something, and they could still be in our world.
Right.
It's just we haven't like created a history for them, so that would have to be like created by people making like a tiefling. Like
Yeah.
like I made a tiefling. This is my tiefling's backstory. This is kind of how tieflings fit into this world. Does
I like
that make sense?
I totally makes sense. I love it. Yeah.
It works for me.
I mean, they might pop up. I'm not saying we can't make events and periods. I just meant in general, like if there are races that we want to use later but we haven't talked about yet, that's like one way of like kind of putting them in the world. It's like our backstories can flesh out a lot of stuff when we make characters.
Yeah.
I totally want wind nomads that power themselves with puffballs to travel.
Fuck yeah.
What?
I was like, oh wait.
Well,
Anyway.
good thing you're the lens right now.
Right?
So right now
Focusing on
you
puffballs.
are creating a focus, which I'm going to give you this that you can write the focus down on.
Oh yeah.
Don't use a Sharpie though.
Don't use a Sharpie.
Don't use a Sharpie. Clearly we've been there before.
Can I eat another one of your balls?
Put all of my balls in your mouth as you see fit.
All of them?
All of them.
Because they're really good.
What kind of balls are they?
They're
Chocolate.
Peanut butter malt
chocolate
balls.
peanut butter. Chocolate peanut butter malt balls.
Mold balls?
Yeah.
Can I try
You
one
made
too?
these?
Yeah.
No, oh my god, no. Are you kidding me? I am not that creative.
Yes, I did.
Do you need, they're gonna go
Focus.
quick. Do you need another?
No, I'm only allowed one of those a day.
There was
Okay.
we frequently at New Seasons we frequently get these like massive bags that people make in the bulk department, but then go, oh, I guess I don't need that, and then they leave there, and we can't put them back by law because it's against health code. So they have to either throw them away, but because we have a Blue Slip program, which to our viewers, the Blue Slip program is basically just free food for employees working there, so
I've
that
been
it doesn't get thrown
surviving
away.
for 3 years.
Yeah,
Well, I
that's
should do
pretty much.
that often.
No, don't. The opposite, because
We can talk.
yeah. But yeah. Anyway, so that was a big bag of that, and so originally I put it up in the cupboard, and Jill comes like 2 days later. She like really serious, and she just goes, "You have to get that bag out of there. You have to get it out of there. Give it to the nerds. They will eat it. get it out. Like she was like
Give it to the
really,
nerds.
really good because she goes, they're not even that good, and I just keep eating them.
But Bill, doesn't she know that if you feed the nerds, we don't go away? Mm-hmm. We keep coming back.
We've already invested the basement.
You're like the gremlins, man.
Well,
After midnight, baby.
yeah.
That's why you always send us home, like right at 11:45.
Yeah.
Get out, Mogwai.
So in a twist of fate, Jill is actually responsible for my balls being in all of your mouths.
Thank
Find a
you,
nickel.
Jill.
Thanks, Jill.
How
Okay.
progressive of you guys.
Jill lives up there.
I would like to understand why balls being in mouth is pleasurable. I mean, like the testicular
Like,
kind.
I honestly
as
cannot
the-
answer that even a little bit.
I mean, yeah, but I want to understand
Thanks for acknowledging
why,
that.
like, balls being stimulated. What does it feel like?
I'm gonna guess just not having balls. Because
From an outside
I have an
perspective.
idea.
Go on.
Well, warm.
We
A.
know what the focus is.
Warm, yeah, because
It's
they
balls.
hang down.
Nope.
They don't.
Just different
That's always the
stimulus.
focus.
Yeah,
Also, it's all connected, you know?
and they're super sensitive.
right? Answer your own question.
However,
What? What part of that is wrong?
no.
I sense a
I'm just,
conspiracy
like-
theory brewing.
Like, I'm just
However.
wondering if it's like the novelty or the sensation.
Are you directly
like,
asking our male like friends here, or are you just
I'm
in
not
general?
gonna put you on the spot. I'm just.
Did you have
curious.
experience that left a bitter taste in your mouth?
Oh god.
No, I just want to know what it's like. I'm curious.
Sweaty balls.
Ashley,
I'm curious.
I just have a very short. It just feels good.
To me, it's a trust thing too.
I can never fully
It's like this
communicate
is
that.
sensitive. Go ahead and
I like
put this in a
imagining
really
like
compromising
somebody being able
position.
to
Yeah.
like take your entire like breast in their mouth and just like
Yeah.
vibrate it or
Right?
something.
I am so 100% for that. Yeah. So
I can't wait until we have the like Ashley
Oh, God.
penis supercut.
Can we not ever use that phrase again? Penis supercut.
No, can we
Oh
That'll
god.
be the intro too. It'll be Shauna.
Penis
saying
supercut
that.
is the title.
you know the Penis
Yes.
Museum Extra just
My bad.
aired on
I'm
Patreon
sorry.
today.
What did you? Why?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Why are you sorry?
Did I mispronounce your name? No, I didn't.
Shannon like banana.
Yeah. Okay. I
Yeah.
said
Penis
Shauna.
is
I
I
meant Shannon.
get. It's
My
like a
bad.
giant clitoris, but I don't get balls. I just get them.
You get them. We're all made of the same stuff.
You have bits that feel good when they go in mouths.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
That's
Do you like toe sucking or anything like that? It's kind of similar.
Kind of similar to Terra.
Kind of.
I can see that.
That's your
I
thing, I
makes
would
guess.
sense
not
to me.
put it anywhere near.
And then
toe
they're way
sucking.
more
Yeah,
like easy
yeah.
to vibrate because they're hanging from a sack. And
I'm
like,
just-
they're way more like what's the like
Pliable?
what's the word? Not,
I don't know.
no, like buoyant,
You're
like
right.
buoyant, like a toe is pretty solid all around, but then you got this like
Low density.
this ball like sitting in a sack that's like it's more
Ephemeral
like,
testicles.
But
More-
like, okay, it's like an outside organ, right?
It's an
So-
organ that hangs outside
right?
your body.
That's
which is
very
fucking
delicate.
crazy.
It's very delicate. So you don't want like bad
Man
things.
spread over here. Go ahead.
You don't want bad things to happen, right? And then you have a person who's doing something that could go very badly.
So it's maybe like just
It's vulnerable.
It's a vulnerability thing.
It's vulnerable. It feels
sure.
good.
For sure.
It's like
That's
all
Will
of those things
looking at
connected.
camera saying that he said that.
You know what it feels like. You just gotta like
I'm
put
just being
yourself
talked
there.
And I
over.
do, but like I want to
Crew.
hear more about it. Okay, well this is fine. We can save. I'll talk about this in my interview, but it's gonna be unless
I'll bring my
your interview.
In my interview, I'm just gonna be asking you about ball sucking.
I feel like this is a
What's your
very
experience been
crowdsourced
like
question,
so
though.
far, Ashley? Well, let me talk to you
Actually,
about
viewers, leave
balls
comments,
in general.
please.
Yeah, right.
How do you feel about this controversial
Most
topic?
God.
viewed episode to date. No.
Appreciate that we had an entire conversation
I'll
about
bring
ball
my-
sucking
You brought up the
without
fucking
us
balls. I'm
contributing.
not gonna let the
Sex
like
sells.
balls in my mouth thing slide unless we're really gonna talk about it.
I'll bring my like simulator. Like
Can we
next
commit
week.
to having one character that
Ooh,
also
God.
has an issue with ball
I
sucking?
really want to invent
just really wants to
a
talk about
water
it.
stimulus,
Like all the time.
or it could be for balls, but like a water stimulus thing for men, like
It's
a
called a shower head.
like a sieve. But you like something that you can immerse your whole because with a clitoris, you like a shower head is a big difference between just like what do you do with a shower head? You just like I guess you could.
Your hand vibrates.
Yeah.
Also,
Connor.
there are other
I
spots
heard about
that
it.
I don't want to.
I mean, it's
I'm
gotta
not
be
very
like
good
a-
at being specific.
there are other
Okay.
spots that are really great to apply pressure.
I just
But
feel like there's a
want it
lot
to be
of
all
exploring
encompassed.
to do
I
inside
want
of
all
this whole.
encompassed, like
This whole
Yeah.
time.
Of what?
Like a sieve, like a circular sieve. You ever seen? You know what a weirdo is?
Are you
It's
talking
like
about a shower head for your clit right now?
No, you don't. I
No,
mean, that's
cock,
just a
insertable.
shower head. I'm talking about a shower head for
I
your
lost
penis.
where- I
that
lost
you can
what we were
insert
talking
inside,
about.
and then it sprays like
At
every
the
angle.
car wash.
Yeah.
A penis car wash.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wait,
Yes.
hold on, I was like, how you doing, Fisher?
He's dead.
Like 10 minutes ago.
I want to
He
look
unplugged
at Fisher's
everything.
pillow.
Dude, I totally forgot he was here. I'm sorry, Fisher.
Fisher's busy.
Oh God, he's 19.
Still.
I'm sure he knows a little bit about ball sucking. It's fine.
What's your take on this?
You can be my my
What's the
beta
dwarven?
tester for my
Hey,
Penis
Fisher,
car
what's the dwarven
Molly and James
we're
are real
ball
dwarven word
sorry.
for ball sucking?
Is this people who like watch this with their kids?
No, it's his parents.
Oh no, do they watch this?
I don't know. They're nerds. Yeah, probably.
Oh, that'll be fine. We just need to have a shot of
They're my
him
people.
blushing. Like,
His dad took my wedding photos. His mom's one of my
take
close
a
friends.
selfie video picture of yourself blushing right now.
I
It'll be in
think
the
I'm
comments.
blushing
Okay.
enough for the entire
I feel like I'm blushing too.
Stop.
I don't know though.
Sorry.
Stop. Okay, stop. I love you all and stop. It's really great and I love you and it's funny. But stop.
super cut.
Connor. Connor, you're
John doesn't make a whole jingle.
3 years from now.
Dick or
okay. Shh.
They are.
Connor,
Separate.
you have the floor right now. What is the focus of this round?
So while I was sitting around by myself reading through what happened last time, and just thinking about like what I've been reading lately, I questioned: is Merrick human, or did you define his race?
Question mark.
Didn't you put the human Merrick?
I thought
the
it was
gatherer?
gatherer
Merrick.
Merrick.
Yeah, the human
He
was specifically
specifically-
chicken of the woods.
He
okay.
has not been designated
Cool.
yet.
That has no bearing on my focus. So
Well, fucking thanks.
I just want to clarify things.
Wow.
Drink.
Taking notes.
Cheers.
Cheers. So
Double.
far away.
Oh my god, it's a double.
Not over the table.
We just crossed swords.
I really want to focus on the gatherer specifically.
Yes.
I really I really like them as an idea of in this post Cold War thing.
Is it supposed to say the gatherers?
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that you weren't.
Valid.
The gatherers are what they have.
Oh, I like the term "the gathers." I like
That's
that
what I call
more than
playing
gatherers.
magic is gathering, because
The gatherers.
it's magic the
The
gathering.
gathers.
Gathers. Be a location.
Cutting out.
Alright.
Oh, that's a nice one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
The dark.
We shared that privilege.
Yeah.
So in that focusing on the gatherers, could I have a period?
No.
I'm just
Hit
adding
us
to
up.
history.
Period.
Period.
And you know you can nestle an event in that period if
Yes.
you want.
Oh, I planned all of this out. So this period, I'm gonna say a generation after Merrick's passing, however that happens. The Gatherers create their first Library of the Dead, and they do call it the Gather. So, thanks for that. I liked that.
Their first library of the dead?
Yep.
Yeah!
Metal.
I would like to know more about that. So when you say library of the, yeah, I don't, all of my questions are way too leading, so what do you mean by that?
Because from what I understood from Shanna's implications of how the Gatherers work, they're like sifting through levels of dead space and finding, like they're gathering the history of the world, which wasn't really, and it wasn't there anymore, and so they're like kind of
The gathering like lost knowledge.
yeah,
right?
they're bringing it all back together, and like now they're putting it in a central repository rather than
And you're saying they're gathering this information through the dead.
yeah. That was
And I guess why I like that and I find that interesting is because wasn't that on the yes list? It was that there's a certain amount of access to the dead.
Yes.
And there are certain
Isn't that why you
levels
created
depending
the
on
gathers?
how dead they or how
Yeah.
long.
It wasn't
dead they
why I created
were.
the gatherers, but I like that this is happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not why I created it, but like I did want access to the dead or different
Yeah.
levels of death or
Yes.
like timelines of death. Like you could somehow travel through.
God.
That was
Still on balls, right?
It was either bolt of inspiration or something. I don't know, but it was great.
Can you pass me a scene, please?
Oh, I sure can.
I hate that I have
Change
to go out
these.
for Ashley.
Pardon?
Why?
Because you're gonna be like, here's this mind-blowing thing.
I don't always put my
But I
things
like
down.
basically didn't have to think about it all. And then I'm gonna be like,
Hey, I had to think. I've been thinking about it all day. I mean, I wrote everything out in a fucking notebook. Like,
yeah, that's why I'm nervous to go after you because I read this shit during my 15-minute break.
I would say for the gatherers, this is a light period because they're like honoring the passing of Merrick a generation later, like having done all of this gathering.
This is a
So
generation post.
Can you just read it one more time out loud?
A generation after the passing of Merrick, the gatherers create their first library of the dead called the Gather. So that goes in between Cold War and the very end.
Boom.
Playtime.
And
Playtime.
a scene
Event.
or event rather.
I was thinking about, I've always liked libraries as cloisters and that whole system of cloistered nunneries, and really like Anathema by Neil Stevenson, and which was also a post-technology world. So yeah, this is not going to be, this is a dark event.
I'll let you write that first.
Yeah.
No. It's okay. It's all right.
Yeah.
I'm not even writing anything. It's gonna be
You guys
hard.
are about to drop some darkness.
So just thinking about how like this could lead into the reconnection to the mycelium, I'm now gonna destroy the last cloistered gather because fun times.
But you love it.
I love it.
The last cloistered gather, meaning this happens like every.
No, this will be the last one. Like,
Okay, the last one exists in an existence.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you just created something you loved, and then you destroyed it.
so like a period later, the last
But
one's dead.
There's the story, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
It creates drama.
It really does.
Yeah.
Drama.
You gotta have
good at what
tension.
you
I love you for that. Bring me some drama, Connor.
Alright. Made something.
You hate him?
Burned it to the
made
ground.
something.
Where do you want that in? You want that an event in the same period?
Really?
Yes.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But you like to smoke the cigarettes.
I haven't smoked a cigarette
In years.
since I
Last
saw
week.
you. Well, maybe that's probably not true. Oh fuck. Where are my
Last
cigarettes?
cloistered gather is destroyed by the local townsfolk, ending in gatherers.
Ending the gatherers and the libraries of the dead.
This is after or before. What's his name?
Can I ask you a question about that?
No, this is after.
After?
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question about that? But I don't mean to be leading. I'm just curious what
What's
your
written?
opinion was.
Take back this.
No, I just do people not consider the libraries of the dead sacrosanct?
Ooh.
Because you kind of broke a rule.
Or the
And we-
townsfolk did anyway.
Yeah, the townsfolk broke it.
But that is if they consider the libraries dead, because like we kind of also made Michaelog's libraries, so those
Yeah.
could be the sacrosanct ones, and so that's what I'm like. Are the libraries of dead like not sacrosanct to people, and that's why they're like. What were you thinking? That's what I'm.
So
asking.
I think where I was going with this is, like there will always be like some people who will always like they'll have their hidden library and that will always be sacred, but like right now what we're going through, like being educated and intelligent is seen as a bad thing, and so like this is an event in this period where people are like, no, you can't gather this knowledge, you can't have these things, this is bad, so we're going to destroy it. But it doesn't mean somebody can't build a new library, and people are like, oh, libraries, yeah, we forgot about that.
Yeah, because if only we had a book to read it in.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but the lens, like you created your period, focus, period, and event.
Yep.
And now we move on to Ashleen, correct?
Yep.
Okay. You're up.
Can
Okay,
I ask
so-
a quick question about the Libraries of the Dead? Sorry.
Yeah.
That was such a freestyle.
It was only song because I don't know what I'm going to do yet as the lens.
Oh, that because I think I took that as Jesus, Shannon.
I know.
No, I
Just
know.
asking a
I know.
question.
Question.
It was well placed and also well misunderstood.
I will do many of those myself. Intentional and unintentional. So
Okay.
never.
Oh, that's great. I'm looking forward to that as the GM.
What do these libraries consist of? Like, are they physical? Are they like? Do you
tell
want
us?
to even? Okay, just make it like
Yeah.
I'm asking. Okay.
I'm assuming they consist maybe partly of totems, just because we have that as a legacy.
And what's gathered from the dead, right?
Yeah.
And I would only imagine some kind of physical remains from the dead.
If possible.
I mean,
Go.
mushrooms consume the dead.
Go where you want with
That's
it.
how we
mushrooms.
that's theoretically how we were thinking about contacting them through the mycelium, right? Was the decomposition, the mycelium decomposing people, and then us being able to. reach
Yeah,
their
I just got
essences.
I got like a plethora of ideas.
Well, that's just what Shanna was like saying when we were originally talking about this, but
Was I?
like what you're okay. See,
I want it to be open. I want somebody else to define what exactly is in the libraries of the dead.
same. I'm just asking a question.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna put a
Shout
scene
out.
for the
I can do
original event that mentioned gatherers, and it's
Yes.
So for the gatherer, Merrick discovers first contact, and I put, how does Merrick reach symbiosis with the mycelium to discover first contact with the dead?
Wait. Wait.
How does Merrick reach symbiosis with the mycelium to discover first contact with the dead? And that goes into the event. The gatherer, Merrick discovers first contact.
Well, a minute.
So it's like, but you're kind of asking first, like how that unfolds, basically.
Oh,
right? You're not
I
being
know.
specific about what happens.
Well, yeah, but see, if you know how that unfolds, that's where you get to be the GM and fucking write us a campaign about it.
I can do that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
write us a
yeah.
one shot or something, right? But that's what the point of these scenes are.
I'm super excited
So
about
essentially, the only
should
thing I
probably write that
changed
down.
about anything is
Oh,
that
that's right.
he reaches
Scenes
symbiosis
are
with
questions, right?
he reaches
The
symbiosis
scenes are
with the mycelium. So I like make that a new thing, but other than that, like it's
Yeah.
still an open ended. Like
Yeah.
what happens?
Yes.
Did you just go?
I did.
So now it's my turn.
Yes.
Oh God.
it. All you have to do is focus on the gatherers.
Yeah. Focus on the gatherers. There's only like 4 things about them
Oh,
right now.
okay, cool. Okay, I did it. All right. Totem carriers of family lineage are organized as gatherers in the Cold War fallout as essential and sole links to the mycelium.
Okay, so you've read that. Can you talk about it a little bit?
Yes.
Like I want to.
So
Expanded.
the mycolog is destroyed, and suddenly all of this stuff that we took for granted is like severed, right? So they're like looking for. I mean, maybe it doesn't have to be like the soul link, but like they're looking like we are looking for in this fallout, in this magical Cold War, like looking for ways to link back to the mycelium because the mycolog is gone, which is like was kind of like our powerhouse in the way that I see it.
Right.
And so these totems that your family lineage can be passed through, and this might be like in the future, this might be something that like a way that we explore layers of the dead, right? I kind of see it as this was something that was taken for granted, just like the turning off and on a light switch and like not knowing how electricity works, right? Like
Being able to like use your totem.
being able to use your totem, being able to access your past through this totem, was something that was just like passed down through your family, and like maybe it resonated with one person or maybe it passed on to another person or whatever, right? But suddenly this you know,
Connection.
this connection, this like random, you know, middle child connection that was kind of like not like glorified, or it was just kind of like like you're the totem carrier, is suddenly like, no, you're a fucking gatherer and you're the only one suddenly with access to like what we need.
Like the library is destroyed, and now we have
Now
we have is the pass down.
All we have is the pass down, and this random group of people.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Where do you see that fitting?
I see it fitting after kind of like after the Microscope is destroyed.
Okay, so in this period where the Microscope is, and so in the
So
magical
it's somewhere
golden age
at
the
the end of this and at the beginning of this. So, like-
beginning of that.
The beginning of this?
Yeah, that's it.
Like, is this how it goes?
Sure.
You can just put it at the so we can all see it right now, just underneath.
Yeah. Actually, if
Okay.
it's new, just pop it down there, and then I'll organize it later.
But just at the front of the magical Cold War period, that's where you want it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so humor me for a second.
Please.
Can you expand a little bit? I know you probably just did, but I was writing some stuff down, so I was half listening.
Well, and I'm
Totem
like-
carriers.
Right. So the totem carriers are the same as the gatherers. They just weren't called the gatherers until this event. So like it used to be like oh, and I'm like I need you guys to ask me questions because I have this like really full picture in my head, but like you guys are not in my head. So it used to be like Lilyhammer's blah blah blah, right? Whatever we decided.
Her granddaughter was one of the totem carriers. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm saying like there's like every like you eventually like your family or like whoever is interactive with mycelium, because there are like groups of people that are not, or like humanoids that are not, right? Mm-hmm. But there's this like there's all these different things that we take for granted, or like that people take for granted, that are ways that the mycelium has like become symbiotic with you, right? And there's this kind of like track to your past, or like track to like everything's accessible because we're symbiotic, right? And there's as the, what are these called again? Legacies. So like as like the legacy, like family lineage, mycelium symbiotic history can be contained within a single totem, right? So like we've gone through like potentially 1,000 years or whatever of these totems that once you're symbiotic with the mycelium, you can just continue that.
I'm trying.
Don't. It's fun.
Continue, like it gets passed down through your family line, and you don't. And the way I imagine it is like it's not just like, oh, the firstborn, whatever. It's like just like it could skip. It could be, yes.
So, are you thinking of this kind of like a family Bible that records all the like births and deaths and big events, but only one person in the family can read it at a time?
Mm-hmm.
But it says specifically that they contain the symbiotic history, right? So it's not necessarily like the history of the family more, but the history of the family's relation to the mycelium.
Is the totem physical?
The totem is physical.
Okay, it's not an actual person.
But I don't think about it as like a Bible so much as like a ayahuasca trip.
All right.
So
Okay.
everybody else handles the totem. But the way you know who the totem holder is because you hand it to that kid when they're 5.
And
this is the family totem, and they're like, and you're like, oh,
you're the person.
You're the person.
Yeah.
So whoever those people are, we don't really know who those people are, but we're just like, oh, they have this. Oh, cool. Like in the golden age, we're like, oh, they have this thing. Haha, this mycelium.
So the totem itself chooses the person, not the other way around.
Right, because it's part of the mycelium. It's this symbiotic relationship. It's alive. It's an alive relationship. Yeah. So these people are chosen, and then they're they beget. It travels throughout time. But we always kind of took it for granted, and it almost became silly until the Microscope was completely obliterated. And now we're like, oh, this channel is still alive and well. It has been unaffected. And so now we need to, like, these people become the gatherers, because it's like, we need you guys to, like, this was a cute thing, but now it's like our only fucking link. So you need to assemble yourselves.
And you're also saying that even though not everybody has access to the mycelium, everyone is touched by it, which is how it records this family lineage?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, fungi is pretty damn ubiquitous. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's got spores that release
Yeah.
into the air, and then it, like, sucks back into the thing, and, you know,
Yeah.
it knows. It's there. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
I mean, and even if it like isn't connected to everybody, we're kind of making the mycelium out to be like a network that's like all over like existence
Yeah,
in
and so-
everything. So theoretically, like it, even if it hasn't like chosen the other family members, it would still know what is happening.
Right, and
You know
we
what I
can
mean?
also like develop, like, I don't have this like fully baked, like that part of it, like how much it knows. Like it's not fully formed in my brain, and that's fun. Like we can see what it knows. I also kind of like the idea of like, you know, like what's the thing like in Harry Potter where they like look at the memories, right?
Occlumency?
Yeah,
No,
it's
the pensive.
The
the
pensive.
pensive.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like you can find out a lot about history or a lot about what was going on by just paying attention to somebody else's pensive, right?
Yeah.
Like that kind of thing. Like it's sort of, I kind of imagine it like that. Like you're getting a lens, but you get enough people together with enough family lenses, and you can kind of like
Yeah.
piece it together.
This sounds like fun.
Yeah.
So then it'll be a little bit of a bias history, as in it's the totem holder's version of events,
Right, and that's
instead
why-
of just the actual recorded events.
Yes, and that's why we need to like organize these people, and now they're the gatherers, because like they have to be the gatherers because
They are the eyes of history.
they're the only ayahuasca holders. You know what I mean? Like nobody else can connect with it like that. So
Yeah.
Cool.
I believe we're on Will. Are you ready?
Yes.
No pressure.
All the pressure.
I don't want to.
I mean, just like 10% pressure, but only
No,
for
no,
creative
teachers.
juices.
I'll make sure I worded this right and then I'm ready
I've
to
heard
go.
that like Chris Perkins fucks with you. I haven't watched his game that much, but if you like take too much time, he like fucks with you, like makes things get worse if you take too much time.
No. I don't see that at all. What I do see, so here's why Chris Perkins is a masterful DM, is because if he gives Ashleen, for example, something, or the players, just in general something, and nobody responds to him, he will take them the onion once again and he'll peel back another. And then if nobody responds, he'll just keep peeling back the layer. He'll keep adding more description.
therapy
He'll be
session?
it's
To
weird.
elicit your
It's
essence
weird,
for
but
therapy session.
yeah, he does that. And then
oh, you're not confronting that? Let me.
and he'll only stop. He'll only stop when someone responds. It's amazing. It's like he's like an unlimited reservoir of creative juices that just keep flowing. But it'll only stop
Juice
if
reservoir.
the player literally just plugs up the geyser by action. I don't know.
Okay, so maybe not worse, just like
Oh no, it's worse in the sense that he raises the stakes, and I fucking love it.
Okay, then that's
love.
what
He's like my hero. He's my hero. Anyway, Will, I'm ready.
Amanita, daughter of Merrick, awakens from her centuries-long stasis and claws her way free from the wreckage of the last gatherer. She is the vessel of the knowledge of the dead.
Sweet.
wait a second.
Whoa!
And that's light?
It is light.
Hell yeah. Also, did you
my
pick
God.
a name from Sense8? Because,
A slash also mushroom type that we were talking about
Yeah.
earlier.
oh, nice.
So, talk a little bit about this. Why
No.
is this? How about
Thanks, fuck. So I kind of had this image of through there's gonna be some weird shit that you run into and as a gatherer, right? Like following down weird paths and perhaps forbidden paths, perhaps or there is no forbidden paths of the dead, right? And I imagine something that we will flesh out together as a group, like something. Put her like still along the path of the gatherers, like put her into the stasis, like almost like a coma or something that put her down, and she was just exploring the pathways of the dead for centuries. And this event awakened her ultimately. And I'm almost imagining her as this perhaps we kind of. I went back through and didn't see anything. Like we had talked about perhaps like some characters that almost like were perpetual through the timelines or something that was like affected by the mushrooms at some point, whether she's that or not. but almost imagining her elevated to some level of possible deity or demigod, like something that is
Mother
so
of dragons.
When you said
intensely
that, I had like a
connected
vision
to-
of like a titan, like in a long slumber type.
Yeah,
thing,
no,
like,
I mean that was kind of a vision that I had a little bit. Like
Mushrooms.
she's so connected to the mushrooms and so integrated into this pathways of the dead, and like what does it mean to have the knowledge of the dead, right? Be that vessel. So I kind of wanted to
She's like
add
the
a little
river
interesting
Styx
mystery,
person.
a little spice. Maybe she brings something interesting that connects back to like the demons coming back, and returning to the sky later. Maybe not. I don't know, but I feel like it's like an awakening of this concentrated power.
When are you seeing her having gone to sleep, or like? I was just wondering, like, if you even had like an idea when you started, like when you thought that.
Nope.
It's just like she's been asleep for
Centuries ago. That's really the only thing I wanted
So
to lay
we
that
can
out.
literally like plug that in anywhere, like story wise.
She's the daughter of Merrick. We don't know what race Merrick is, or how old he is, or how old she was. Like, I'm leaving that real big and open because I thought this is a lot of fun plugs for people.
What
No,
I-
right.
But it also, like, yeah, we destroyed the library and then we destroyed the gatherers, but like the library keeps continuing.
Exactly. I really wanted to have that like that roll over,
Oh,
that connect.
Connor.
Connor, what's my idea? Guys. Fanboy.
We're all each other's fanboys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, totally. I actually, what just hit me is that I'm having so much fun with y'all.
Yes!
Every one of you. I love you.
Doing what I can to rally through this fog of
Likewise.
feeling like guilty. Do this.
I'm
Yeah,
really
sure.
excited about this, and I don't, like, tell me if this is leading, because I don't think it is, but it's more like I am really excited every time something like that comes on the board. I feel like I get to know the mycelium a little bit better.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
It's
we're,
an illusion.
like, it's like the whole, like, unanswered question that, like, we will, like, hopefully not, you know, like, try to answer too much, but, like, we're gonna answer it just in this game. You
Yeah.
know? It's cool.
Also, the image I had of her rising from the wreckage is very much like a mushroom pushing its way through the surface, right?
Yes!
Just throwing it out there.
Okay, so I'm going to move that along to Ashley.
Can I workshop this with y'all as I usually do?
Yes.
Okay, so I really want the pass down or the activation to happen from, I mean, symbiosis is happening. So mushrooms are part of, arguably a part of the
Humanoid
chosen person or whoever is joined with it. Like the totem chooses you potentially because you are. So are people in general in this period like generally symbiotic and merged with mushrooms? At this
I
point?
believe
Am
that
I
that
science?
wasn't necessarily specific, like, it wasn't specifically stated.
We take it for granted is
In the magical
is clear.
golden area.
Okay.
Oh yeah, what period are you talking about? I'm sorry.
I'm talking about the
Gatherers.
The gatherers. It could be. I'm thinking of maybe creating a period. The idea that this is passed down and/or accessed by eating either the live or dead flesh of the people most connected and symbiotically
cannibalism?
fused with the. I mean, you're not eating somebody to survive, but
So
yes,
you're
like,
saying it's less like the idea is like it's less chosen and more specific.
One of the things that I'm thinking is that the person who was chosen in the previous generation actually secretly feeds a piece of their own flesh to the next generation, which is how sometimes it skips a generation. It's like, none of my kids fucking deserve this. I'm gonna wait till my grandkids or great grandkids. Like, I'm gonna wait till
They
somebody.
feed their own flesh.
They
to
feed their
someone?
own flesh secretly, and this is a secret that you have to keep. And so, I don't know where to
so
put this.
down for this.
I mean, the only
Like,
reason
you
I'm like
choose which family member to pass it on to, and you kind of have to like you either have to like decide early or like
You get
slip it into their
colonized by the
food or
mycelium.
like.
well, I'm like watching that new like Sabrina teenage witch situation. So
I
like
haven't seen it.
I'm into some darks. Like put the things on
Watch the
Facebook.
first episode and I hate it.
You hate it?
Just the first episode though. Just the first
Can I
episode.
ask you a
Okay.
question that might help
Yeah.
you decide where you want to put it?
Yeah.
Are you thinking that this is something when they were still just the totem carriers before the gatherers even existed, or are you thinking that this is something that happens now that the gatherers are existing and this is how they become gatherers?
I think this is maybe even like a period of practice of people are trying to like somewhere around the Cold War where people are trying to access mycelium and actually maybe excavating dead bodies. Like I'm trying to think of how the libraries of the dead come about, that people maybe actually a practice of I think it's a novel. So it's about rotters. It's about people who like steal dead bodies, and I'm thinking there's maybe a faction of people who start stealing the bodies of people who they think were most fused and connected with.
So the only thing that you have to pay attention to, because it's a lineage, is this. So like a single totem. I mean, it's like on the table.
Yes.
So it has to factor in somehow.
Right.
That's all.
But yes, so people could be like the live person can pass their flesh on to the person who is chosen, and maybe that's like it has to be the live flesh or something for it to like be actually passed on. But that doesn't mean that the dead flesh doesn't contain the same mycelium and can't be excavated and taken and hoarded. And this is like a fucked up practice until the mycolog is broken up and we actually like need this stuff and need like whatever resources we can to pull in. Is this making sense?
I mean, it makes sense.
But I just don't know where to bottle it.
Well, it has to be from the beginning then. I mean, wait, that's leading.
No, I think like
Well, beginning is also what the fuck. So I think that's not too late.
Hasn't it just been? Gee, okay.
Remember, you have this if you need that.
That will not help me.
Okay, cool. Cool.
And it like you can make mistakes in who you excavate. You can just like take dead bodies, start eating them, and not like or have like
they're tripping out, man.
There could be some good drama there.
Yeah. And that could also be a reason that the practice, like an excuse that the people who want to destroy the gatherers, that could be a thing that like they associate like your
Because you're eating the dead. Really, it's a mushroom perspective, not a human perspective.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Maybe that's ultimately how Amanita went into stasis. Was she?
Well, I'm thinking, is she dead or alive? Does she have to be alive? Like,
no,
there should be somewhere
she
in
doesn't.
between. Like, she could be.
What I love about this is that this does not imply anything about the fact that she didn't die at some point and was
Well,
resurrected.
It doesn't
from
imply
mushrooms.
hardly anything about her as a race, as a class, as a dead, undead, like whatever the hell. Like, it doesn't imply anything like that.
She's a lich. She's a shroom lich.
I'm saying she wasn't dead.
And it would be cool if she was a gnome, because since they're like one of the first ones to start fusing, like they would be the most fortified with
mushroom lich.
the mycelia. Like that would be the strongest strain. I'm just thinking of it like in different strains, of mycelia, different personalities that stick with a family. Like there's the mycologs that's this centralized kind of oppressed version of the mycelium, and then you have these ones that like maybe align themselves with a family, like a fucking like sourdough bread, and just move themselves through through the generations.
I don't know what's breaking the rules, but I have a lot of feelings about what you're saying.
So it's only questions, and they can't be leading.
Do you know that my feelings about this are?
No.
Lead me.
Nope.
Okay. Okay, let me think about questions then.
Yeah, I just don't know how to package.
Yeah, you do.
So you're offering
This
this
isn't
up
bad.
as an alternative to the mycologs?
As part of the generation of the creation of the Library of the Dead, that maybe that it is also part of the chosen ones. That there is, that seems like a weird arbitrary, like the idea that like it's more potent if it's eaten, if you're eating from a live person or you're eating from a dead person. I don't feel like that's a good
Question. It's not leading.
I know, I'm insane.
No, you're not insane. I'm just trying to figure out a way to not be leading and ask you questions to help figure this out. So, are you saying that there are these totems, but maybe they take a little caring for? Maybe they're more potent based on like how much how much effort is put into them, like family to family, like because there's already a lineage like preserved through the totem that is physical, that's already been established.
I don't know.
So
like
are you saying the people eating is like something that enhances the experience, or like creates like stronger links?
If it tastes like bacon, I'm going to say
I mean,
yes.
I'm thinking that the totem is like a decider that it's maybe not like that's what,
like the
how you
totem is
find
like
almost,
whatever the thing that finds water.
Divining
Yeah.
rod.
A divining rod.
yeah, almost like a magic feather, and maybe people think it's passed down through that, and it's actually like it's definitely passed down through it.
Now you have
but
to eat
it's
your
like,
dead uncle.
You like
Yeah. Is that what you're saying?
Here's this
that
family
maybe, like,
ring.
maybe it does
Have
engender,
a piece of
like-
Uncle Bob.
Yeah. So only
some in
the
the freezer.
weirdest,
Okay, wait.
craziest batshit crazy families are the ones that like
Is this
that are like crazy through
I mean,
crazy through.
is this considered taboo? Is this normal? Is it frowned upon? Is it like actually like wow, you would be honored if you were to, experience this ritual like
I think it would start out. What I'm thinking is like starting like having a period where people start in a desperate effort to get back in touch with mycelium.
Uh-huh.
They start like
venturing into the
venturing
taboo.
Digging
and
up
eating
people
and digging
jerky.
up people who were like who, because it was maybe passed down through these families. They
Dude,
start.
You totally got this.
Yeah.
So
This is
Yeah.
just do it. Is it a period or an event? Like where?
I feel like it's an event.
yeah, I just feel like it's. I feel like it's somewhere in between an event and a period, because I don't want it to be like a single. I guess people start deciding to
Tell us about the first one.
do this. What?
Tell us about how the first person started doing it. Or just at an event level, right? Like something that sparks it going down from there. Or what inspired the first one.
Because I want there to be a family practice of it. At the same time, there's this other faction of people that kind of like has an idea that it's going on, and they try to do it like.
That sounds more complicated than
I
what you can do
know,
solo,
I
so that's why you
know.
gotta sell us on it.
I know. Why do I have to
And-
sell you on shit? I can do whatever I want, but.
So can we, that's the
Can
problem.
I ask a question? How is this specifically relating to the gatherers?
The gatherers would
good question.
be the people who this is, who, if they're logging these and maybe kind of cataloging these bodies by ingesting them.
Okay, so the gatherers are the eaters of the dead.
That's one, like it's yes, and it starts out as something that is like that is
This is the best thing ever. Keep going.
it starts out as something that's frowned upon and remains frowned upon and used as an excuse to destroy eventually the final one.
Actually,
And
really
it's
like
problematic. Does this make sense?
I'm not supposed to say
No,
that.
No.
It totally makes sense, but
where you're going with
I
it.
agree with Will in that this is definitely an event, and it's
Okay.
definitely in that period. Like
Yes.
it would just have to
I
be
feel
in
like
that
that's a little bit
period.
leading. I don't think it has to be in that period, because this can start. The totems are all the way back here. If this is something that is going along with totems, she can put it anywhere.
And think about
theoretically. Especially if she's writing an event that sparks the originality of it. Like
Okay.
it doesn't have to be
I'll
there.
concede that for sure.
If they're, I don't know.
And it sounds
Yeah.
like what you're talking about is like more of like a rule of how the mycelium work with the dead. Like it sounds like it sounds like what you're saying is like you could eat someone 1,000 years ago and still have sort of the same effect.
And
like,
obviously,
that doesn't
like
matter.
that starts to decompose, and so it becomes more rare because you have less of it, or people have eaten it already. So the older it is.
I'm excited to see what you decide to write down.
Ah, jeez. Okay, give me a minute.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Bill.
No, you didn't cut me off. You were like you're right. Essentially.
Luckily, it's magnetic.
It's just the
Field man.
the decal swag.
You didn't break the field, you just separated it.
It's true. Made it
Oh my god, I
real
broke
weak.
the table!
You what?
No, we're fine.
I broke the table.
It was really
Oh.
fun that day me and Bill lowered it. It was like, wait, what are we doing? Wait, we need to take this off. Wait, we need to take this off.
No, actually, I do think it is a period because it'll go right in between the people straight. Yeah. Okay, now I have to fucking figure it out. Jesus Christ.
Do it. We believe in you.
I haven't done a period since
Jesus
the
Christ on a
beginning.
cracker.
Make it good. We're judging you. We're not really judging you.
A little bit.
Will is.
I don't feel judged.
Good.
I save all my judgment for myself.
So,
I just had my review at work.
can I'm sorry, I have to interrupt. I just
Oh, yeah.
read this in the yes list, which reminds me of things that we have been talking about this session, and that is Ashley's yes, her yes that she put on the list, which was the Fallen Lich / Nothic NPC.
I've been thinking about that.
That's what I was saying.
So I'm just bringing it up.
Forgot about.
Sure,
Why
mage.
you?
And I just like I don't know, like whether or not we've actually pointed to that character or not, like it's sort of like we're in the ballpark, I feel. But again, that could totally 0% be true. I'm just excited about it. I'm also excited about no teleportation.
I still want to narrow that down on like if that precludes like Misty Step and things or Dimension Door. I definitely don't want like long distance.
Well, no, we already discussed that.
Yeah.
It does absolutely cut out Misty Step, Dimension Door. But what it doesn't cut out are things like the Druidic Tree Stride or things like that, Essentially, I think the idea was that we were to use the mycelium as the sort of conduit for teleportation.
And something short range stuff might be okay because that's pretty.
No, I was pretty
You
specific.
really wanted
He
to
was
know.
very specific.
Because when you, because we were talking about even when you teleport to
Remember we
another
were like, it's
plane,
10 feet, you
you
can walk.
end up in the back. You end up right back in the same spot when you teleport
Oh,
back.
I don't want to take the last
I'm eating last
Okay.
ball too. We're eating 2 balls at the
cheers.
same
And I feel like tree striding is different because you're traveling
Well
through.
done.
You're not actually teleporting.
All cheers.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I was really specific about no teleportation.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying like I don't specifically
you-
see Misty Step as that, but if that's totally fair. It'll be interesting to see how that like changes the dynamic of some classes. Because some of those is kind of like a good bread and butter for some things.
Okay, let me throw this out. Based off the rumor notion, I'm not quite sure what word to put in there, that certain families, like this, like common and true myth that I guess it's common and true myth. Certain families have secretly passed down their connection with the mycelium. I don't know if I should add as a kind of lineage. A faction called the Rotters begin to excavate dead, or maybe a large portions of the population begin to excavate dead.
Did
in
you write
hopes
that down,
of-
or is that just in your head?
I wrote it down, but
Okay,
it's like
cool.
I need to, yeah.
Is this in addition to the totems? That's what I want to know right now.
And the gatherers or the like.
This is different than the gatherers. This is an additional way to
But
access.
it has to be connected to the gatherers, though.
That's the yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
what I want to
still
know.
not-
It's I mean mycelium is like if mycelium is go ahead.
Do you have to be a gatherer to be a rotter?
Ooh.
Because that will tell us
I think
if
it
it's connected to the
changes.
gatherers.
It changes from, and I can take the rotter thing out, but like people,
I-
yeah.
I like the rotters.
Like it starts out
I
as
want a
a,
yes or no answer to
Yeah.
Shannon's question, actually.
well, I think it starts out as one thing, and
As what thing?
it starts out as something that is deeply frowned upon, and then once they realize that this is maybe their only way to keep connection, and maybe this should happen, like maybe it should be an event. That
But
they
is
go
it
for
connected to the gatherers?
that. Yes, because that's
In
what
what
they
way?
But how?
because that's what they turn into. They start out as
But
You're
didn't we
saying
already
versus
establish
the-
that the totem carriers turn into the gatherers?
no.
Not explicitly. Could be.
But that
Well,
I thought
actually,
Anna
actually,
explicitly
Pretty
said that.
explicitly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Totem carrier, the lineage organized. Okay, so
Okay.
only the totem carriers can be the gatherers.
But I'm just gonna say you can't manipulate that, but you can say you can talk about the beginnings of the totem carriers, but you can't like crosshairs with that.
But talking about the beginning of the totem carriers is then not focusing on the gatherers.
That's true.
Well, if they turn into the gatherers, it's still related to the gatherers, isn't it?
If you say that if you say that the rotters become totem carriers, then yes, that does relate because the totem carriers become the gatherers. But
I don't know how to not
you
say
have
something
a
illegal.
good idea, but I think
I
you
didn't
need
say
to
Yes.
chop a couple limbs off and
Yeah.
like narrow it down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good feedback.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say?
I was just gonna. I don't really know how to not be leading, but it seems like you're trying to talk about a specific ceremony that these people do where they eat the flesh, and I was wondering if focusing on that ceremony might be easier to get across what you're trying to say. But I don't know how to make that not leading, so I'm not trying to lead you. That's just yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. It took up so much time.
Very good.
I enjoy it.
Okay. Maybe focusing on
On the actual like ceremony of eating the flesh. It sounds like that's like your main thing that you're trying to get across right now is that they eat the flesh, right? So how do they do that? Might be a way to get your point across without taking the focus off the gatherers.
And I have a question for you. Would it aid you if we took a break and then you could
Yes.
kind of formulate this,
That
and
would
then
be
when we
great.
come back you can read it? And
Yes.
Okay. And we will take a break.
Okay. I'm gonna have to rewrite this, of course, so that you can read it later. Amanita, now dubbed Daughter of the Dead, begins offering pieces of her self-regenerating body to those who would be reunited, reawakened to a connection with the Mycelians.
Can you just say reconnected?
Reconnected? Yeah.
I dig it.
I
dig it.
also
Wow.
dig
Frightening.
it.
Frightening.
Great.
Frightening and awesome.
This is like the
Either
shortest
I
I was
one.
actually
it.
imagining her like proselytizing a little bit, and then I'd just be like, no, consume of my body.
Also-
Well, super
A little Jesus.
Yo, yeah,
Yeah.
super
Right.
Jesus-y. Consume of my body,
Yeah.
literally my
Let me
body.
put that in there.
Yeah,
Also super vampire-y.
Yeah.
But I mean Jesus is a vampire, so
Dude, zombie, at least.
Jesus is a
Christian zombie
Jesus is
vampire?
a female vampire.
That was one of my favorite
Can you really
things
be
about Vampire the Masquerade, the role-playing game.
I mean according to
Is-
TKK he was, so
Their explanation that so many historical figures that keep popping up, aka Elvis or whatever, were actually vampires that actually kept popping up, but because it was so implausible to the common human folk that like, oh yeah, he's not really still alive, that they just sort of like discounted it. But like Elvis was part of like I think the Toreador sort of clan, which was the
Really?
artsy fartsy
Toreador?
clans. Yeah,
Yeah, I can see that,
exactly, yeah. And I just absolutely love that concept of like, oh yeah, people that we keep seeing in the past, like they're actually vampires. But
That is
yeah.
cool.
So hard. Fuck.
Have you guys
I
seen
was-
that movie? Oh, sorry.
I was
Okay.
Vampire related.
It's cool.
So I believe that it's my turn. Yeah.
Yeet.
But I also want to talk about this out loud because I thought that I had this all worked out, and it turns out that I didn't. So I'm going to talk through I'm going to create a scene, and it's mostly going to be created or nestled in this event. It says the last cloistered gather is destroyed by the local townsfolk, ending the gatherers and the libraries of the dead. So I really had a question about the local townsfolk. The last cloistered gather is destroyed by the local townsfolk. Okay? So I would imagine, especially because this cloistered gather is on a certain level considered some kind of a library.
Mm-hmm.
And on a certain level, I think in a societal sort of unconscious, nod to the past, that this was somehow sacrosanct, maybe a little taboo, but still sacrosanct. But when the local townsfolk rose up and destroyed that cloister, what happened to them? And
to the townsfolk or to the cloister?
To the townsfolk, because I like to imagine that some kind of curse befell them. Yeah. So like they were absolutely in their minds in the absolute right that they were sort of purifying something that was going to get way out of control, and maybe they were right, but regardless of that, the curse befell them. And so I'm trying to word that.
What are you trying to figure out with your question? Are you trying to figure out what the curse is, or are you trying to figure out what specifically happened to the townsfolk?
I'm kind of not trying to figure out anything per se. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to ask the question in a clever enough way to leave it a little bit open-ended. So I guess what I was...
This is not the wreckage of the last gathering.
Yeah, that one.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, so it's kind of like right in the middle of that, or it's basically the first event after the period that was created by I believe Connor, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. Centered around the gatherers. What became of the now cursed local townsfolk? Question mark.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah. I just say that I think that's a censoring of the dragon penis right there, so that has to be the balls that are being dealt with, and I just think that's very
on
we gotta
are we
super meta balls.
Also really
I'm happy about it.
Could just be working that cloaca a little hard.
And why
cloaca?
What's a cloaca?
So lizards and reptiles and other things have like basically a combined waste system. So there's like your
birds. You mean yeah.
Yeah. So fecal matter
It's a butthole reference.
A butt pee hole.
It's a everything hole for the most part.
Yeah, it's a butt pee
cloaca.
genital hole.
Yeah.
Butt pee genital hole.
Though I do think I got peed on while I was in Louisiana a couple weeks ago, and it was by a bird, and there was no shit. It was just pee.
Maybe
it
that
was
made
clear.
anything
It
that day.
smelled horrible, but that means
joking.
that they can just pee on you, right? Like they can just have clear,
Well-hydrated bird.
hydrated bird. Yeah.
I mean, I was gonna say it was like carrion
That's a
spit.
band name if I've ever heard one.
Like what?
It was like filter spit, which is why it smelled bad. It doesn't have to be pee.
All right, focus.
Could be
Okay.
spit.
Yeah.
Work the balls and then
I
spit.
don't know if birds can spit. I don't think they
Smell
have
like-
salivary glands.
That's a good one.
Okay, so I was the last person in the cycle, so
So-
that means that you now get to create another something nestled in something else. If
Or-
you
or
wish.
just one thing.
Or just one thing.
Yeah.
And then it goes back to me and I create a legacy.
Are you going to create a second legacy, or are we going to have Fisher do it?
Oh, that's a good... Yeah, no, that's a good question.
Fisher!
I'm just curious. Like, you can. I'm okay with that.
Let's
But-
see if Fisher
But if he wants-
feels called.
Or has been paying attention enough.
Fisher.
Can I read about...
Come on in, Fisher.
Give him a
Again.
text. Oh, no.
Yeah. Here's both of them.
Good luck with mine. Even my second draft is fucked.
I like yours a lot. I don't know.
Yeah, I really
I just mean the
like it, too.
writing of it.
I like the smiley face on it.
Because I wrote novel.
But I
instead
really
of
like...
body.
What I really liked was like the journey, and that's what you came up with, and it was like really good.
Oh, you mean the journey of my brain?
Yeah.
Yes.
I like the journey of brain a lot.
Those would be...
So, Fisher, we are requesting a legacy from you. Shit.
But only after.
also
But it's okay,
20
you get a
bucks.
little time.
Also $20.
Don't
So
give him $20.
so
If you
spend it
want.
on candy.
Connor needs to create his
Yeah, he
last
would.
little thing, and then
So
a legacy needs to be created. But last session when Bowen was here, I already created a legacy, and so
Okay.
I feel like it would sort of behoove the whole group to have you do it because we need
We want it.
Yeah, we
Let's
want
do
it.
it. You know you want it. All right.
So this round's about the gatherers, and those are the other legacies.
Actually,
Kind of contained right in that
So-
bucket.
in between those two...
So attached to the Amanita daughter of.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
I want to know if she... Once she emerges from the wreckage of the last gather, does she choose to stay and rebuild?
No. Yeah. No, just kidding. Excellent question. Yeah, I think that's interesting.
I love the scenes being questions. Like, it's really hard. I love it.
Yeah, I'm glad it worked out.
Does Amanita choose
more
to
questions.
stay and rebuild
clarifying.
the last gather?
It's great for stories. So.
Like,
It
what
also
if-
is like the ultimate zoom in of the microscope.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, one of our patrons, Mark Richards, a friend of mine from Michigan, he was corresponding with me today, and he said, "Okay, how you liking the show?" And he's like, "Oh my God, he's like the one thing that he's like, it's fascinating and it's awesome, and the one thing that it actually prompted me to do right away, I bought Microscope." He's like instantly,
Yeah.
Nice.
and so that's Ben Robbins, the creator of Microscope.
So
You rule. So, yeah,
The game's awesome.
absolutely.
It's
So,
really
yeah.
fun.
Shout out to Ben Robbins and shout out to Mark Richards. Like,
Also, we get why it says 2 to 4 players, but this is fun.
I know, right?
Okay,
This
then.
is a lot to handle.
Well, I think like 2 to 4 players would be like a single like long evening, whereas we're like trying to
Yeah.
do something that we can do for a couple of
Also,
like,
I will
years.
say,
Yep.
stacking it up like this instead of having it all spread out is instantly, and like also having people like
Less
us all
overwhelming.
like reread it in between the time and like
Yeah.
kind of, you know, it's like it's doable.
Yeah, it's all good. Yeah, and the other thing too with the 2 to 4 players thing is that it's assuming that you're also going to be actually role playing out the scenes. Like there are active scenes that like, you know, Will and Shanna and Connor and like we're all gonna actually be like choosing characters within that scene and like role playing them out. And we're choosing to do something a little differently. So I you know, which I'm very excited about. But
Yeah.
you got
Break the
any?
rules and break them immediately.
You got anything, Fisher?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit more about what we were working on, because I was working on
Well, the
some
focus-
school stuff.
actually, Connor, if you got a feel
Yeah.
for it since it was your focus, you want to like play a lens for us and kind of walk us through what's happened?
Yeah, so I decided to focus on the gatherers who are they're the gatherers of the dead, but also like this historical information. So we started out with a generation after the first named gatherer, Merrick. Gatherers come together and create the first library of the dead, which they call the Gather. And then the first event that I created in that was then the destruction of that, the last Gather by local townsfolk.
Which Bill added on to what became of the now cursed local townsfolk.
Because libraries are sacred. And then Will brought in Amanita, who is the daughter of Merrick.
She's fly.
We
Me for a white guy.
So good.
we don't know how old she is. We don't know, except that she's been under this gather for apparently centuries. And then I wanted to know what happens when she emerges. Does she stay and rebuild the gather? Like, what choices is she gonna make?
We do know eventually.
Eventually, she starts feeding herself to other folk to help them reconnect with the mycelium. So, yeah, she's offering her body.
Force it.
Yeah.
She's the undead Jesus. Oh yeah.
She regenerates. She's like a fucking slime mold.
She's the slime mold undead Jesus.
I don't want to eat a slime mold lady either.
I mean, slime molds are
She's like
protein.
that,
Okay,
that,
I mean, like,
that like slurm
maybe.
queen from that one Futurama.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
So good.
Like they,
Slurs Mackenzie or something like that.
God, that was like triggering. Like,
what?
Okay, one of the best Futuramas is like everybody's addicted to this soda called Slurm.
basically Mountain Dew.
It's Mountain Dew.
on steroids.
But it's a Willy
it's sweet
Wonka
Mountain
where
Dew.
Fry gets to go to like where they make the Slurm and he finds out
It's like a Jabba the Hutt, like looking
there's this
neon green worm lady.
worm who's just the like queen who's just like shitting Slurm into
She
like
got this little like sucker and it's like shitting it into a can.
Oh yeah.
More reason to like tackle future.
And there's a gr-
so good.
And there's a
Not
great
gross at
scene where
all.
he's just like, you know, he's
It is
just
a little
constantly
gross
drinking
though.
the entire
I
thing.
like that show. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
Not gross.
he's drinking the entire scene too, like, but the entire
you can't
episode.
stop drinking Slurm.
He's addicted to it. But there's a scene where he's like, oh god, like. Keeps going back to it. It's so terrible.
And then there's Slurm's Mackenzie, who's like this like surfer tiny
Party slug.
party slug who can only party. He can't not party, and it's hard for him in his life.
Can we make
I was wearing dark sunglasses.
Slurps Mackenzie egg.
can we make pop culture recaps with Shanna part of our shtick?
Yes,
I'm into that.
absolutely.
If you haven't watched Futurama, here's my
I
take
think
on
I
it.
just want Futurama through other people's lens. Like, I
Right?
don't want to. Yeah.
I feel that.
That's exactly
like
how
I like
it's
to watch
my
horror
problem.
movies that
But
way.
somebody
Like,
was
it just
telling me
described
about
to me
the
every
fact
scene.
that what's his name is his own grandpa, and I had no idea. No idea.
I got a song about that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
No idea.
That's a little
That's-
bit.
I love
yeah.
it. I love incest.
Kinky.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it too much.
Incest time travel. It's fine.
Okay.
Do something cool.
What you got?
This is your one moment.
You
I
can
know.
no, but here's the thing: you can forego this. We're this is not like a forcing
I'm-
or anything like that. Just kinda.
I'm forgetting how legacies work completely.
You choose one thing that came up in this round.
Yeah.
Vague. They're hard.
They
You
can
don't
be
even have
something
to.
super like. I thought you could build legacies based off of other legacies.
He's going to create an event or a scene after this, and it can be based on any legacy. But he has to make it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's
so,
like one thing
okay.
one thing or one rule you want to see in this world.
Okay.
That like is throughout the entire world, basically.
well,
A
so
constraint.
Ish.
the
Okay.
legacy is supposed to be something that appeared during the last focus.
Oh.
Okay.
Which was the one the
I
gathering.
got
Yeah.
one.
Because
Can I
when I
have
did
one
my
of the
legacy, I was
one of the
had
important
different
pens real quick?
Important pens.
Oh,
legacies are in red.
Even more important pens.
I stand
The top.
corrected. That is a very
Yes.
important
Okay.
pen. It has
So go
pigment.
ahead.
So
Okay. Slime
I'm
molds.
thinking.
Japan did a
That's-
study with slime molds, and they put like a slime mold in a maze, right? And they just like it. The slime mold just grew in all directions equally until it found the food source, and then it like took a like slice of that slime mold off, and it put it in the maze, and it went directly to the fucking food
That
source.
doesn't surprise me, but that's fucking cool.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's
Wow,
terrifying,
super awesome.
but it's amazing. That's like
Well-
some blob level shit, but I'm here for it.
Slime molds will also,
That's
if
some
you put them in a
blob
complicated
shit. I'm here
enough
for it.
maze, will
your, like, your senior
explore
quote.
branches and then retract
for it for
this
and
game.
like
Yeah, it's blob
go
level
through
shit,
the
but I'm here
few
for it.
that
Oh,
were
yeah.
successful and then like do another big explore and then retract and then like it's
That's so cool.
I'm putting this in
Yeah.
the game. I just want to warn you all.
Hell yeah.
I'm so happy.
All right, what's the legacy?
Mission accomplished.
All right. So after she resurfaces from being underground for however long,
Yeah.
people are like, oh, that's cool. I wonder if we can use other human beings as basically sacrifices to contain mycelium
I mean,
instead
I'm
of because there's the
loving your-
old. It can be family lineage can be used.
Yeah.
A totem.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
maybe we can do that with people and make it more powerful or something.
I'm gonna read it out loud if you don't mind.
Yep.
Beings are used as sacrificial totems and consumed for youth-giving properties. Yeah, that's harsh.
that is a legacy.
Sign me up.
Okay, so now what event or scene are you creating?
Is the sacrificial, not consummation. Consuming
Whoa!
of
No,
people, the final.
it's written. No take back seats.
Yeah, no, it says consuming. Consummation was scratched out on the other side. Of people, the final straw leading to the retreat of the mycelium, which then leads into the.
Okay,
next.
so that was
Pretty-
broken up a little bit. I'm gonna read it one more time.
Okay.
Is the sacrificial consuming of the people the final straw, leading to the retreat of the mycelium? Okay.
That is a very interesting question.
Also, no. So we move on. When I think about questions, you'd be like, no, it's not.
that legacy says it does not suffer fools or exploitation or enslavement or sing
Oh,
no
double legacy tap.
Wow.
But
Damn, you just made it
is-
meta in like
Mal
legacy
is
meta.
eating something that can regenerate itself maltreatment.
It's a legacy within the
Is it-
legacy.
Is it
Maybe it's not about the
using
eating.
mycelium
know.
against the using of poor people as
Blowing my mind.
farmers?
And before we can even talk about this any further,
Question.
pass the dinosaur.
Look, you hit the little dino.
Wow, love that.
Cool.
That was
What?
good.
Eraser.
There was like a horn of Gondor out of fucking nowhere. Great.
It's also 9:40. Let's be conscious of time
I'll
because
show you the real one.
Well, I already have
If
focus. I have an event
yeah.
and a period as well.
Okay.
Oh, of course. You're prepared.
I was thinking about it while we were
Yeah.
outside.
No,
Thanks.
no, thank-
That was
Fishy,
fun.
thank
You've
Thanks,
been
man.
doing it for 3 weeks.
You're welcome for ruining your timeline and happiness.
Not true.
Well, you know,
Yeah.
You did do what I was gonna do!
You did what I was gonna do.
Oh!
You have a whole week or
So the new focus.
What I love about that
the demons.
is we're all aligned. Look at all of our egos.
We're all on the same.
But Shanna, you have a
I
week
know.
to yeah.
That's what I was gonna do.
Mhm.
The demon gate appears atop the volcano that becomes known as Devil's Peak. A scourge is released upon the realm.
See, there she goes again.
Was that a light event?
No, it's dark.
I was like, whoa.
Well, I mean, if you want to think about it from the demon's perspective.
No, demons hate it. Since this place sucks.
This place sucks. It's burning to the ground.
Yeah.
Can you read it
angry
again?
just being here.
boring.
Yes, the demon gate appears
God.
atop the volcano that
Huzzah!
becomes known as Devil's Peak. Huzzah.
Huzzah.
Thanks, Ashley.
Would you like me to restart reading it?
Yes,
If
please.
anything, you remind us
The
to
demon
drink.
gate appears atop the volcano that becomes known as Devil's Peak. A scourge is released upon the realm.
Okay.
And then someone pass me an event.
Yeah.
I like the drunk episodes. I haven't even seen it yet, and I know I like
This one I haven't fully formulated, but I kind of have an idea of what it to be, so I'm going to discuss it with you guys a little bit. I essentially want the demons, when they start trying to take over this realm, to try to warp the mycelium to their own ends. So not like a symbiotic relationship, and not like anything that's written over here. Not a stumbler or anything. Like, it's very like, I want to, it's like a very perverse, like we are like essentially like sucking the life out of you and like using this power. Like they're sucking the soul out of the mycelium as demons do, right? So like,
So the mycelium need us, is what you're implying.
well, yeah, because that's what we kind of have already put into place with the whole Griffin Dwarf combination,
Have
and
we,
they
though?
needed the elves for something. Like,
And I'm not trying to lead you, but this is the first time I've ever thought that was even an option,
Well,
is you talking about this.
If you condense it down, what you just said was that the demons are sucking the life out of the mycelium.
essentially, yeah. So that would be the
And
event.
thus the magic from the world.
Yeah.
Okay. How about the demons are feeding on the essence of the mycelium
Yeah.
to, yeah, that's what I'm
Do
gonna
it.
Oh, man.
The demons begin.
Wow.
That's more of an event.
I just love how you like say things like that and it relates to the entire like future of what we're talking about.
I'm just trying to tie it all together because we put the demons in two places but haven't talked
Yeah,
about
but
them at all. So.
you tie it together with the demons, but it relates to like the nature of the mycelium itself and like a ton of other shit that happens with
Yeah.
them.
Honestly, anything that we do is going to be tied together because
We're immortal gods that are reigning over this world that we created.
we're the pantheon for the mycelium.
Yeah, right.
I don't want to be a god.
I've been capitalizing the
Too late.
mycelium. I don't know if anyone
You're
else
an
has been doing
archetype.
that, but I feel like we should.
What was that?
I like when I was writing it throughout in here and stuff, and like on my stuff, I've started writing it in capitalized. I've been capitalizing the mycelium. Like, I don't know if anyone else is doing that, but I feel like we should. Is what I was saying.
So I'm the archetype of glitter.
Yes.
Are you gonna glitter at some point? Oh yeah, maybe. But you don't want to be glitter.
And,
You're like,
this
I'm
is-
not. Stop.
Also a dark.
Read it one more time.
The demons begin feeding on the essence of the mycelium.
Chills.
Begin?
Well, that's
Begin
the
to happen.
well, that's the event. This is when it started.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
The period is the-
this period is the demon gate appears, right? And demons start flooding the world, and then the first event in it is the demons begin to feed on the essence of the mycelium. Therefore,
The
creating
demons have
the
not been in the picture.
no, I mean the first time we talked about him was in this period.
Okay.
So,
Sorry.
or we might have brought him up a little bit sooner,
That's what
but
I'm wondering, yeah.
I don't think we.
but even
did.
if we did, like, here's where the gate opens and the real like
Invasion.
invasion begins theoretically. If that makes any sense? Like,
Yeah.
I feel like that's a good spot for it because it's right before they start
And-
fighting in the sky.
That
So close.
is where we will stop tonight.
Really?
Oh,
Yes.
thank God.
Yes.
That's fun.
Did you just let me go because you knew I was bursting with something?
Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And at least I know that I don't have to. I have a whole week to think of something new.
Yeah, and not only you, but like our viewers get an entire week to think of like what they would do with like the focus of the demons and that kind of thing. And I find that quite fascinating. Let's end tonight. Well,
I just need sleep.
thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. We all love you. Tune in next time. Check Critical Misfits out on all the stuff below that we don't want to say out loud that we're going to put on the screen anyway, so it doesn't matter. We love you. Thank you.
Deuces.
Goodbye.